Hi students, this is Suchadata teaching SST and now I am about to teach you the last chapter, that is class 7th 10th chapter, and the name of the chapter is 18th century political formations. If you look at the map of the early 18th century, you will see that there was a reshaping of the map. That is, suddenly you realize that the Mughals have become shrinked and the Britishers have gained their authority in various parts of India, which meant that the fall of the Mughals had started at the beginning of the 18th century and the Britishers had started consolidating their position in India. Now, what were the causes which were responsible for the fall of the mighty Mughal emperors? The first big cause responsible for the fall of the Mughal empire was Aurangzeb's responsibility. That is, Aurangzeb, who was the last powerful Mughal emperor, led the fall of the Mughal empire. It was he who stayed in Deccan for long 25 years and did not bother to find out about what was happening in North India. He was an orthodox by nature. He was very suspicious by nature. He did not give any responsibility to his sons or daughters, and he even made the people against him by his orthodox policies. So, there were various causes which made Aurangzeb responsible for the downfall of the Mughal empire. The second cause responsible for the fall of the Mughal empire was the powerful Mansabdars. The Mansabdars, who had gained lots of jagirs and who had become big military commanders, who started acting as revenue officers, became so very powerful that they started challenging the Mughal emperors. They gradually concentrated so much of power in their hands that now they were not afraid of the Mughal emperors. So, they posed a big threat to the Mughal emperors, and thus they were responsible for the downfall of the Mughal empire. The third cause responsible for the downfall of the Mughal empire was the rebellion of the Zamindars and the peasants. The Mughal emperors, without giving a thought, started increasing the taxes on the land. The poor peasants and also the Zamindars, who had to collect taxes, started feeling that the emperors were exploiting them. Thus, they wanted to rebel against the powerful Mughal emperors. And slowly, when the position of the Mughal emperors started declining, they took advantage of such a position, and thus, because of the high taxation, the Mughal emperors alienated the peasants and the Zamindars. The next cause responsible was the attacks from outside India. These are all the internal causes responsible for the downfall of the Mughal empire, but the attacks which happened from outside India, whether it was of Nadir Shah in 1739 or it was of Ahmad Shah Abdali from 1748 to 1761, that is 5 times he invaded India during this period, gave a picture that the Mughal emperors were no more invincible, and thus all the people who wanted to take revenge from the Mughal emperors now started feeling that it was the right time that they should rebel against the Mughal emperors. The attacks of these two rulers not only gave a feeling that the Mughal emperors were no longer powerful, but both of them even plundered and extracted lots of wealth from India and thus made the treasury, that is the royal treasury, weaken. Next cause responsible is the fights which took place in the Mughal court. The nobles had actually divided themselves into two factions, the Iranis and the Turanis. They always kept on fighting with each other, hatching conspiracies and thus making the position of the already Mughal emperor, which had become weak, into a weaker position. Thus, all these causes made the Mughal emperors weak, and of course, the Britishers who had come to India by this time took advantage of such a position and they laid the foundation of the British Empire in India.